This is Weirdly Enough, your regular podcast for strange stories and amazing facts, delivered straight to your favorite podcast directory and at weirdlyenough.com. Now, here are your hosts, Andy and Len.
Thanks very much for joining us. We're back again for another thrilling installment of the Weirdly Enough podcast. Remember, you can get your podcast from wherever you get your podcast. Oh, that doesn't make any sense, but there you are. I'm Andy Keane.
And I'm Dan Johnson.
Yes. What I'm trying to say is we're on all those podcast directories now. We're on Stitcher.
And
TuneIn Radio.
And the other ones.
Apple Podcasts. And the other ones. There's lots of other ones out there. You can also check out our website, weirdlyenough.com. We're all over Facebook and Twitter. Just search for Weirdly Enough Podcast. You'll find us there. Today we're going to be looking at
the Men in Black.
The Men in Black.
The MIBs.
The Galaxy Defenders.
Have I just broken copyright?
I don't know. I think it's all right. Yeah.
I
don't
didn't
think they're going to see.
Yeah, I didn't.
Well, I was about to say Will Self. Will Smith. He's a nice fella. I don't think he'd mind you sang a bit of a song. He might, though. Interestingly, weird fact about Will Self.
Right.
Completely off topic.
Yeah.
When Will Self travels, he likes to walk both to and from the airport. So say he's flying to LA, he'll walk to Heathrow and get on the plane and then walk from LAX to wherever his hotel is.
Right.
Just because he's Will Self and he's a bit weird and he does things like that. Sorry, I was digesting.
Do you know what one of the most joyful times in my life, one of the most joyful things in my life was?
What?
When I heard Will Self say the word rebarbative.
Rebarbative?
Which I can't say.
Okay. Rebarbative. What does that actually mean?
I don't actually know. I have to look it up, but it sounds important.
Yeah. Yes.
Anyway,
should we get on?
Yeah. Well, listen. As you know, we're broadcasting from the pod bunker here.
The pod bunker, yes.
Deep in the limestone caves of North Down.
Yeah.
In the province. Anyway, I've been dusting off. Been into the filing room.
Yes.
And I've been going through the cabinets of curiosities.
Okay.
And dusting off some files, some intel.
Right.
On the Men in Black. Who are the Men in Black?
There's very dusty tomes you've got there.
You may ask. Well, basically, they're these guys that appear unannounced when people have seen UFOs or even just been researching UFOs,
right?
And they it's basically to warn people off. Now they're unannounced. They're usually clad in black business suits. There's always two of them.
Yes.
And they warn people to give up their research into UFOs. Now the description is very strange. They're described as sometimes their skin is dark, sometimes unnaturally pale.
Yeah.
Sometimes
they're living in a bunker, I suppose.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes their eyes are improbably coloured or their bodies devoid of hair. Often their clothes and vehicles are reported as brand new and unused, but they seem to have adopted a period appearance. If you ever see the show Mad Men, they look like
Mad Men.
They look like kind of, like American businessmen from the 50s and 60s.
Right.
With are those trilby hats? Those little fedoras.
Yeah.
I don't know, those little hats.
Before I heard, or before I saw the film Men in Black, what was that? Late 90s?
Yeah.
I always assumed I'd heard about them before, and I'd always assumed they themselves were alien. Am I going to find out that that's perhaps a theory, or are they?
There's theories. Some people think they're aliens. Some people think they're demons.
Oh.
Some people think there's some sort of weird human-alien hybrid.
Right.
Some people think they're completely artificial. They've been literally created in a vat.
Yes.
Some people think they're just normal people, but they're acting weird to mess with your head. Some people think they're actually connected with the bogus social worker phenomenon, which has been a thing throughout the night. a quick aside, that in itself is a bit of a strange one. We'll maybe look into that another time.
Yeah,
but since the 90s, there's been a thing called these strange people who are very like the Men in Black.
Right.
Only they're like a man and a woman that will appear at your house looking to, like, see your kids.
Yeah.
And they're described in very similar ways to the Men in Black. They've got sort of very grey skin and sort of strange eyes, and they speak like the Men in Black. They speak in a very metallic or robotic way.
Yes.
And use kind of odd intonation and things like that. Some people think these are like, like people used to see fairies and leprechauns back in the day.
Still do.
It's like a modern kind of, it's like there's certain forces that people would perceive throughout history based on their own cultural assumptions.
Yes.
So like back in the day, you might say like, like fairies, whereas now you'd maybe see aliens, or you'd say them as the Men in Black.
Yes.
It's like a culturally kind of conditioned kind of thing, Some people think the Men in Black are created from ourselves, and that they're like a projection of your own fears.
So,
there's a number of different fairies. Now,
what the Men in Black actually say to people once they arrive. So say I've been living in a RV just down the road from Area 51. Yeah. I've been looking for aliens, and I get a knock on the camper van door.
There's loads of creepy examples. We'll just go into a few of them. Now, there's a chap called Dr. Herbert Hopkins.
Yeah. And
he was working as a consultant on a UFO case in Maine. One night, he gets a phone call from someone purporting to be an activist in the UFO community, asking if he could visit Hopkins to discuss the case.
Right.
And Hopkins says, yep, we'll maybe meet next week or whatever. 2 minutes later, the guy's at his door.
Right.
Which is a bit weird. Now, the guy was wearing a black suit and black tie and the hat.
He'd been to a funeral.
Very unusual facial appearance with no hair or eyebrows.
Right.
And an extremely pale visage. Now, this is an interesting thing. Hopkins had a dog. The dog starts freaking out when this guy appears. Now, this guy, it's unusual because normally these chaps turn up in pairs, but this guy was by himself, which is unusual.
Maybe the other guy was on...
Like the bogus social workers.
Yes.
They're always in pairs.
In pairs.
Now, the guy starts aggressively asking him about this UFO case. He started off friendly, but he turned a bit aggressive, a bit nasty.
Maybe had a drink in him.
Now, what basically happened was the Man in Black informed Hopkins that there were 2 coins in Hopkins' pocket. And he was like, how did you know that?
Yeah.
I was like, I just know. And he says, well, remove one of them. So Hopkins did it as he was told, and held, it was a shiny new penny. And he held it in the palm of his hands. And the Man in Black told Hopkins to watch the coin closely. After a few moments, the coin turned silver.
Right.
And then appeared to be going out of focus. It was like it was blurring.
Right.
And then it began to fade, and then disappeared.
Disappeared completely.
Where
was this? Sorry, where did you say this was?
It was just a man.
Oh, man.
Right. So the Man in Black informed Hopkins that the coin would never be seen on this plane again, which I assume is, like this plane of reality.
Yes.
This dimension. He asked whether Hopkins was familiar with UFO abductee Barney Hill, which is quite a famous case. I think Barney Hill and his wife were abducted back in the 60s. Now, Barney Hill had recently deceased. So he said, are you familiar with that case? And Hopkins says, yeah, I am. And then the MIB informed Hopkins that it was correct, he had died, because he said he didn't have a heart, just like you no longer have a coin. The MIB then gently suggested that Hopkins destroy any material he had related to the UFO case. So he said, you know that guy that died? He didn't have a heart, just like you don't have a coin anymore.
Right.
Implication being that he'd dematerialised the guy's heart.
Right.
And it was like, well, you might want to forget this whole UFO thing.
Just because I can do anything?
Yeah, because we're not messing around. Now, he was extremely shaken by the encounter and followed the advice of the man and burned all the files he had related to this case. And there's been a lot of ones. there's one here where a professor was in a library doing a bit of research, and it was a Peter Rosinovitz, I think the name is. Now he says he was reading a UFO book in the library, and suddenly a pale man appeared, wearing all black in the suit with the hat, and then the man began talking to the professor and said, "What do you think of flying saucers?" And the professor said that he wasn't particularly interested, but he did a bit of reading up on them anyway, you know. And at this point, the man became very agitated. He eventually left, and a feeling of intense anxiety swept over the professor. And he didn't reveal that story until many years later. But he said not much had happened.
Yeah.
There wasn't much of a conversation, but there's just this sense of dread. This icy sense of dread came over him. And he just had this notion that he should never read about UFOs again.
Yeah. So maybe that film back in '97 or whenever it was that kind of alleges, Men in Black are part of a secret part of the CIA or something. Maybe that was a smokescreen, because by all accounts it looks like they're perhaps alien or perhaps from other worlds, other realms, other planes.
Unless the government are in league with the aliens, and they're just sort of franchising out the intimidation tactics to the aliens.
Yeah.
And getting them to travel up and down, like vanishing coins and inducing senses of dread in people. Dan Aykroyd met them.
Right?
For real, yeah. Recently, Dan Aykroyd has revealed that he was taping a show about the paranormal.
Yeah.
He stepped out to take a phone call from Britney Spears, as you do.
Yeah, of course.
It's happened to us sometimes in this podcast. You would get the old call from...
Yeah, it's usually
Britney
Lady
Spears
Gaga would ring me. Yeah.
Or maybe Madonna. You know, or I don't know, Stacey Dooley or something like that. Just whoever, like, you know. And then, whenever he finished his phone call with Britney Spears, he noticed a black Ford motor car parked across the street. A tall man stepped out of the Ford and stared at him, him down. Again, Aykroyd felt this sense of dread. He turned away for a moment and then turned back to find that the guy had disappeared. Now this is where it gets weird. He finishes his phone call to Britney.
Of course.
Returns to the studio, and guess what happened?
What?
A show had been cancelled.
What was the show about?
The paranormal. But like the call the weird.
William Shatner needs to watch out his new unexplained thing there over on History Channel.
And the studio bosses ordered him, in no uncertain terms, to stop filming immediately. The show was scrapped. That was it. No more.
Does he think this mysterious figure went to see his bosses?
I don't know.
Yeah,
it's hard to say. There's a few examples. Have you ever had any strange encounters like that?
Not with Men in Black, no. No, I don't think so, but I'll keep an open mind.
It'd be one for the socials.
I'd say after recording this episode, we might get a knock at the door or a visit.
Well, you see, this is it, because I've been getting ideas for shows, and sometimes you do wonder, they could be annoying people in high places, delving into forbidden realms.
Yeah. A guy who owns Sealand might get really upset at us, talking about micronations.
Well, this
and
is
stuff.
it. Yeah. I mean, you don't want to bump into the guy or get an email from the guy from Sealand.
No.
And he'd be saying something scary like, "Oh, I do notice you like to go for long walks in the country lanes. Could be very dangerous at night, can't it, boys?" We're not alleging, of course, that the guy that owns Sealand is in any way like that. I'm not implying. This is the danger of being media personalities, such as what we are.
Media personalities. So another very, very strange topic. Yeah, we should throw it open to our listeners. Have they ever encountered Men in Black? Podcast at weirdlyenough.com is our email address. You can get in touch, of course, facebook.com/Weirdly Enough Podcast, or we're Weirdly Enough PC on Twitter. We're on Instagram, but we're not doing anything over there yet. But I'm sure we will soon. Yeah. Anyway, we'll be back with a few little snippets of weird just after this. So every week I like to go through the newspapers and just have a look at strange little stories that are out there. Just things that I can pull out and have a bit of a laugh at. Have you seen this new thing that Burger King are doing? I was in the States when I first saw about it, and over there they call it the Impossible Burger. Over here, when I landed into Dublin Airport, and I saw ads for the Rebel Whopper. Have you seen the Rebel Whopper?
Is it a vegan thing?
It's vegan, but it's supposed to taste like real beef. You don't know that it's actually made from plants.
Do they have corn?
I don't know. I really don't know. But in New Zealand, the fast food chain Burger King have now released news of a latest sandwich that they've invented. It's essentially a chip buddy. The company described as golden fries, crispy golden fries, mayo and ketchup nestled between two soft buns.
That would be a chip buddy?
Yeah, the royal fryness, the chip buddy, has arrived, they've said.
How much are they charging for this?
I don't know. I don't know. I didn't delve that deep. British people, though, are unimpressed, however, with many taking to social media to air their outrage that Burger King are trying to own a staple UK food, the chip buddy. Yes, it's ours. It's ours.
It wouldn't work with fries anyway. You can't have a chip buddy with fries.
I don't know.
You need like proper chip shop chips.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just got. Right, just turn your mic around a little bit there. And an article I saw here, I'm calling this Model Criminal. This was in the Metro. It really made me laugh. Ellis Tarling, he's an out-of-work mechanic from Bristol. He got into a spot of bother with the law and he ended up in court. He was found with a knuckle duster, apparently.
Oh dear.
But he said it wasn't his. He found it.
It went more gaff.
He decided he would use his court appearance to try and launch his modelling career, however, with a series of photos taken on the steps of Bristol's Magistrates Court. He adopted an array of poses and appears to relish his 15 minutes of fame as if he's on the Milan catwalks. Tarling's solicitor says the fella is currently relying on the bank of mum and dad, but currently looking for work. He ended up with a fine for £175 and 120 hours of community service for being found in possession of the knuckle duster. But yeah,
it was out for a bit of aggro, I take it.
Good luck to him on his modelling career. I think he might need it. Yeah. And you know the way, and I'm sure we will cover in a few weeks, few months, whatever, Bigfoot and the Sasquatch and everything. That's a very interesting topic. But a woman, a granny, she is from Greater Manchester, has said that she sighted a Sasquatch. Is that how you say it? Sasquatch.
Sasquatch, yeah.
In the UK, actually, in a park. It doesn't reveal what park it was.
Park?
Yes, but it was in a park.
So it wasn't like in the Brecon Beacons or somewhere.
Well, I suppose that is a national park, isn't it? So yeah.
So it's not like a park, like you go and fight the dogs.
The 52-year-old Deborah Hatswell told the tabloid paper The Daily Star, if it's in the Star, it must be true, that she saw something utterly impossible, and at 40 years old, and it still haunts her.
Right.
She says that Bigfoot is walking in the UK. The article doesn't state where in the UK the park was where she spotted the elusive Sasquatch, but Debbie described as looking like a cross between an ape and a man. Plenty of them running around Manchester, I think.
Are you sure it just wasn't one of the locals?
Yeah, it could be. She now runs camping trips for people hoping to encounter the monster. So you can go and camp out.
Does she have a website?
Oh, we'll look for it.
Oh,
I'm sure she's all over the socials with it. But Bigfoot Granny. That's about it for this week. Thanks very much for listening. We'll be back again next week. Remember, do subscribe on whatever podcast network you use. We're on www.weirdlyenough.com. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to Weirdly Enough. Remember to subscribe to get the latest edition as soon as it drops. And don't forget to leave a review. Email us about anything we've discussed or with your own weird tale at podcast@weirdlyenough.com.